So in this video, let's look at how we find the intercepts of an equation. So suppose we have the equation 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. Well, what we want to do is when we see the name intercepts, what that actually refers to is the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Now, what we really mean when we say the x-intercept, we mean where the graph actually crosses the x-axis. And likewise, the y-intercept means where the graph actually crosses the y-axis. And so if we were just given the graph, that would tell us exactly where we need to look to find the answer. So now if we go over to GeoGebra and we actually type in our equation, which we can go to the input bar and type 2x plus 3y is equal to 6, and GeoGebra graphs the line for us. Now, we said that our x-intercepts were going to be where we cross the x-axis, and our y-intercept is where we cross the y-axis. And so if we look at the point where we cross the x-axis, we see that's going to be right there. And so our value there should be 3, 0. The point where we cross the y-axis, if we look at there, we should get a value there of 0, 2. So now, kind of looking at the graph, we can see what kind of answers we're supposed to get. Let's go back and kind of confirm that that's really what happens. Now, when we see the term x-intercept, we know that actually means that we are choosing y to be 0. So all the points on the x-axis have the common value of y being 0. So any point that we cross on the x-axis, the y value must be 0. Now likewise, the y-intercept means that x is going to be 0. Any point where we cross the y-axis, the x value is going to be 0. And so when we want to find the x-intercept, that's actually just code for telling us that, oh, you're going to make y equal to 0. So if we start with our equation, our 2x plus 3y is equal to 6, then we plug 0 in for y. So that's going to give us 2x plus 3 times 0 is going to be 6. Well, we can simplify that a little bit, knowing that 3 times 0 is just going to be 0. So that gives us 2x plus 0 is equal to 6. Well, 2x plus 0 is really nothing more than just plain old 2x. So we have our equation 2x is equal to 6. So that gives us an equation that we need to solve now to find the x value. Well, we solve that by dividing both sides by 2. Anytime that you're given an equation, you really want to ask yourself the question, what's being done to x? Well, in this case, what's being done to x is just multiplication by 2. Solving then is nothing more than reversing what was being done to x. And so how do we reverse multiplying by 2? We divide both sides by 2. And so in dividing both sides by 2, we have 2x divided by 2 is equal to 6 divided by 2. And so that leads us to x being 3. Now therefore, the 3 little dots there, anytime you see 3 little dots in a math class, that's just a symbol substituting for the word therefore. So therefore our x-intercept was 3, 0. If y was going to be 0, x had to be 3. Now, by that exact same token, if we were interested in finding the y-intercept, that is again just code for saying that x was going to be 0. Any point on the y-axis has an x value of 0. So if we go back to our original equation, 2x plus 3y is equal to 6, we'll do the same thing as we did in the x-intercept case, plug in 0 now for x, which is going to give us 2 times 0 plus 3y is equal to 6. One more time, 2 times 0 is just going to be 0, giving us 0 plus 3y is 6. Well, 0 plus 3y is going to be nothing more than our usual old 3y is equal to 6. And then solving that, we ask ourselves what's being done to the variable. We're multiplying by 3, and so in order to solve that, we reverse multiplying by 3, meaning that we divide both sides by 3. Well, if we divide 3y divided by 3, 6 divided by 3 is going to give us y is equal to 2. And so putting this together, therefore, we say that our y-intercept, x was 0, and y has a value of 2. Now, kind of coming back to the flip side of that, suppose that we had first found the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts. Well, if we do that, and we plot the points, so we said that our x-intercept was going to be 3, 0, and we said that our y-intercept was going to be 0, 2. And so plotting those two values, GeoGebra will then let us draw the line between those 2 points. So we want the line between A and B. And when we do that, GeoGebra will actually look over here on the left-hand side, and it will construct the equation for us. And so lo and behold, we get our original equation back when we left our x and y intercepts. We get our 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. Kind of putting everything together, we have a nice circle of reasoning here that if we start with the equation, we can get the x-intercepts. If we start with the graph, we can look at the graph and get the x-intercepts, and then solve the equation to confirm that's what we got. So we've kind of looked at this problem both ways.